The Galactic Academy's observation deck hummed with the usual chatter of 100 different species, their translators creating a symphony of overlapping voices. Leo stood apart from the crowd, his human frame noticeably smaller than most of his classmates, watching the stars streak past the reinforced viewing panels. He had learned during his first week aboard the station that silence often served him better than words. "Look at the Deathworlder," chittered Zalthar, a Krillian whose exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial lights, standing there like he owns the void itself. Bella, the station's combat instructor, and one of only 3 humans in the entire academy, watched from her office terminal 3 levels above. Her dark eyes tracked Leo's biometric readings on her screen, heart rate steady, cortisol levels normal, no signs of the elevated aggression that council members always expected from humans. She had been monitoring him for 6 months now, ever since he'd arrived from Earth's overcrowded cities to become the first human cadet in the Academy's 2,000-year history. The irony wasn't lost on her. Humans had only discovered faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, stumbling into a galactic community that viewed them with a mixture of fascination and horror. Earth, catalog designation PX7743, unofficially known as the Deathworld, was a planet so hostile that most species couldn't survive there without environmental suits. Gravity 1.3 times standard. Oxygen levels toxic to 70% of known sentience. Predators that hunted in coordinated packs, storms that could level cities. And humans thrived there. Leo had explained it to Bella during their first meeting. "We don't think of Earth as hostile," he'd said, shrugging. "It's just home." Now watching Zalthar and his gang of 4 approach Leo on the observation deck, Bella felt her own heart rate spike. She opened a comm channel. "Security, this is Instructor Thorn. I need a team to observation deck 7. Now." "Acknowledged, Instructor. Estimated arrival 4 minutes." 4 minutes. Bella's fingers flew across her console, pulling up the deck security feeds. Too long. The Academy's security protocols were designed for species that resolved conflicts through formal challenges and mediated discussions, not for the kind of violence she suspected was coming. "Deathworlder," Zalthar said, his translator rendering the word with barely concealed contempt. "You don't belong here." Leo turned slowly, his movements economical. Bella knew that economy of motion. She'd trained herself out of it years ago, learned to add unnecessary flourishes to make other species comfortable. But Leo was new. He still moved like a predator, every gesture purposeful. "The council accepted my application," Leo said quietly. "I have as much right to be here as you." "Rights?" Zalthar's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. "Your kind doesn't understand civilization. You're from a world of savages who killed each other for resources until you finally crawled into space." Bella was already moving, sprinting toward the lift. She slapped her comm badge. "Security, upgrade to emergency priority. Potential violence in progress." The lift seemed to take forever, each second stretching as she watched the confrontation unfold on her wrist display. Leo hadn't moved, hadn't even shifted his stance, but Bella could read the micro-expressions that other species missed. The slight tension in his jaw, the way his weight had shifted almost imperceptibly to the balls of his feet. He was getting ready. "We don't want you here," one of Zalthar's companions hissed, a Vorath, serpentine and venomous. "Your kind is dangerous, unpredictable." "Then leave me alone," Leo said, "and you won't have a problem." It was the wrong thing to say. Bella had learned that lesson the hard way during her own cadet years. Other species saw human attempts at de-escalation as weakness, an invitation to press harder. Zalthar struck first, a chitinous fist aimed at Leo's head with the kind of telegraphed movement that would have been laughable in a human fight. But Zalthar had 6 times Leo's mass and exoskeleton that could shrug off small arms fire. Leo wasn't there when the fist arrived. Bella watched, frozen in the lift, as the young man moved with the fluid grace that came from growing up on a high-gravity world where reflexes meant survival. He ducked under the blow, pivoted, and his own strike, a palm heel aimed at what Bella recognized as the Krillion's breathing spiracle, connected with devastating precision. Zalthar staggered back, gasping. The Voreth lunged, fangs extending, venom sacs swelling. Leo's hand shot out, caught the creature's strike, twisted. There was a sickening crack as bone, or whatever passed for bone in Voreth physiology, snapped. The serpentine alien shrieked. "Stop!" Leo shouted, backing away, hands raised. "I don't want to hurt anyone." But they didn't stop. They couldn't. Their pride, their xenophobia, their fundamental misunderstanding of what humans were capable of, it all drove them forward. The third attacker, a massive Thorgen with 4 arms and skin like stone, grabbed Leo from behind. It should have ended the fight. Thorgens could crush Duralloy with their bare hands. Leo's elbow shot back, struck the Thorgen's solar plexus, or the closest equivalent. When the grip loosened, Leo dropped, rolled, came up with the kind of smooth motion that Bella recognized from years of martial arts training. But this wasn't a dojo. This was a frightened young man fighting for his life against creatures who outmassed him 5-1. The fourth attacker went down when Leo's sweep took out its legs. The fifth, another Krillion, caught a knee to its thorax that sent it sprawling. Bella burst from the lift just as Zalthar, recovered and enraged, charged again. She saw Leo's eyes widen, saw him plant his feet, saw every muscle in his compact frame coil for what would be. She knew with absolute certainty, a killing blow. "Leo, stand down." Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Leo froze, his fist pulled back, every fiber of his being screaming to finish the fight. But he stopped, because despite coming from a Deathworld, despite being a savage, he had enough control to override his instincts when someone he trusted gave an order. Zalthar didn't stop. Bella moved between them, catching the Krillion's charge with a combat stance that had taken her 20 years to perfect. She didn't strike, didn't need to. The sheer presence of an adult human, a combat instructor with a reputation that preceded her, was enough to make Zalthar stumble to a halt. "Instructor Thorn," he wheezed, "the Deathworlder attacked us." "Really?" Bella's voice was cold as vacuum. "Because station security has been recording this entire incident, and what I saw was 5 cadets attacking one. Self-defense is recognized by the Galactic Convention." Security finally arrived, a team of 6 heavily armed Zenthari. They took in the scene, 5 aliens injured, 1 human standing unharmed, Bella positioned protectively in front of Leo. "Instructor," the security chief asked. "Take statements from everyone," Bella said, "and get medical teams for the injured. Leo, with me." She led him to her office in silence. Only when the door sealed behind them did she turn to look at him, really look at him. He was shaking now, adrenaline finally hitting his system, his knuckles scraped and bleeding. "You held back," she said quietly. "They didn't give me a choice," Leo's voice cracked. "I tried to walk away, I tried to." "I know." Bella moved to a medical kit, began treating his hands with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd patched up too many fights. "You did everything right, better than I did at your age. What happens now?" Bella looked at the young man before her, this representative of a species that the galaxy feared and misunderstood. She thought about her own first year at the academy, the fights she'd endured, the prejudice, the isolation. She'd survived by becoming harder, colder, by proving she could outperform everyone. But maybe there was another way. "Now," she said, "we show them that humans don't just survive, we protect, even those who attack us." She pulled up the security footage, edited it into a comprehensive report that showed every moment of the confrontation. Leo's repeated attempts to de-escalate, his measured responses. The fact that despite being trained in combat, because every human learned to fight on a Deathworld, he'd chosen restraint. The council's judgment came 3 days later. Zalthar and his companions were expelled for initiating unprovoked violence. Leo received a formal commendation for his restraint and adherence to Academy protocols under extreme duress. But the real judgment came from the other cadets. Word spread through the station about the silent Deathworld student who'd been attacked 5-on-1 without seriously injuring anyone. Who could have killed but chose not to? Bella watched from her office as Leo returned to the observation deck a week later. This time, when he stood looking at the stars, other cadets approached, not with hostility but with curiosity, questions, respect. She opened a private channel to Leo's comm. "You're doing better than I did." His response came after a moment. "I had a better instructor." Bella smiled, closed the channel, and returned to her reports. The galaxy would learn slowly that humans were dangerous, yes. They came from a world that would kill most species within hours. They were strong, fast, resilient, and trained from birth in the art of survival. But they were also capable of remarkable restraint, of choosing peace when violence would be easier, of protecting even those who feared them. It was, Bella reflected, perhaps the most dangerous thing about humans. Not their capacity for violence, but their capacity to choose when not to use it. Outside her window, the stars continued their eternal dance, and somewhere among them, Earth spun on, beautiful, terrible, and utterly misunderstood. Just like its children,